Hey, welcome back friends, TechTale here, and today I'm going to be killing 1000 Adamant Dragons. I do want to go over my setup a little bit just so that you guys can see what I chose to use in case if anybody else wants to follow along and do this after I do. Basically, let's start out with the Super Anti-Fire Potions. Requires 85 Herb Lore and is basically essential to doing this. I would recommend always having Super Anti-Fire Potion, otherwise you need to have an Anti-Fire Shield, and that gets a little bit stupid. I chose to use Supreme Overload Salves just because they give you a prayer benefit on top of the Super Anti-Fire Potion and having overloads accessible to you all in one potion. But that does require 99 Herb Lore, so it is not essential to doing this. Equipment, you're going to want your best non-degradable magic equipment. I did choose to use a level 90 staff as well because honestly, the more DPS that you do, the faster you kill them. It's worth it to use a higher DPS staff, in my opinion. I also used a large rune pouch. You're going to want to have air runes for the spell that you're going to be casting, as well as alch runes. Alchs are absolutely essential at this location because one of their standard drops is an Adamant salvage piece, which alchs for 6,000 GP, and is a lot of where the money comes from, is all the alchables. After that, you are going to want items that help you out a little bit with the looting because, honestly, they drop like 3 to 4 items per kill, so you're going to want to make it as easy as possible for you. Otherwise, you're going to be spending all your time just looting the corpses of these Adamant Dragons. I personally used a spring cleaner. I do not recommend doing this if you do not have tight springs accessible to you, but I have over 12,000, so I found it worthwhile. I also personally used magic notepaper. Again, this was just for ease of use. You would be better off using the winter storage scroll because they are a lot cheaper to use if you have pack yaks accessible to you, but I didn't want to have to be bringing multiple pack yaks with me, and I also wanted to have access to a legendary familiar pet. That way I could just auto loot anything. It just made it a little bit more AFK to use magic notepaper, and it only lost me about 1,000 GP per bone, which is a little bit of money, but honestly, I was just going for the loot. Another thing that was very useful to me was the Bone Crusher. I do have the Bone Crusher auto toggle of auto picking up the loot unlocked. It does require about 15 to 20 hours of doing the arc and a lot of high level requirements. But if you do have it, it will save you having to pick up all of the bones, so it is very nice. Another very high level thing that really helps out is the Soul Split Curse. It just makes it so that you don't have to be constantly going back to the bank getting more food. Talking about which, this is very far away from the bank. So I would recommend having one of these two teleports if you plan on doing this. Either the Dungeoneering Cape, which requires level 99 Dungeoneering, or the Kethsea Ring, which is either a lucky drop from the Motherlode Maw, which does require level 115 Dungeoneering, so most likely you would have the Dungeoneering Cape if you have the Kethsea Ring, or potentially you could have gotten them from a Rune Dragon task. But again, if you're doing Rune Dragon tasks, you most likely have the Dungeoneering Cape at that point, so I would expect you to just be using the Dungeoneering Cape, and if you do have the Kethsea Ring, it is nice in case if you die, because it's a very fast teleport to get to the Adamant Dragons, but it does require you to recharge it for 50,000 GP every single teleport, so I would recommend not using it unless if it is an emergency teleport for you. All in all, that's basically all that I used, and let's go ahead and get into how I was killing them. Adamant Dragons are actually really easy to kill, and they are always aggressive to you without piling you, which is very nice. If you want to just have a one-on-one combat the entire time, just make sure you don't have any AoE abilities on your bar, then you can actually AFK them for the full 6 minutes of the Super Anti-Fire Potion. Although this is not the best idea because you are going to have to be managing loot during those 6 minutes, it is possible to AFK these Adamant Dragons to some extent. I would recommend using auras, obviously. The two auras that I found to be the most useful were the Vampirism and the Penance aura, because Penance would keep my Soul Split on all the time, and Vampirism would almost completely negate the need to use Soul Split at all. On top of that, Reverence Aura or any other extra damage aura is a decent idea, but those two are probably your best auras. All in all, just go ahead and whack away at them. Make sure your super anti-fire potion does not actually go down, because I did die one time from my super anti-fire potion going down and me not noticing it for a couple of seconds and getting hit a few times with some very hot dragon fire. But all in all, very easy to kill. Probably could be done with tier 80, maybe even tier 70 equipment, honestly. Just finished up the 1,000 Adamant dragon kills, and as you can see, the loot is actually all pretty stackable. I did get a couple of rare drops here, Earth Talismans and Teak Planks. A couple of rare drop U-Logs, but they also do drop U-Logs as a common drop. But besides that, it's all pretty standard loot. One big thing to note is I did get very close to 10 million GP as well. Let's go ahead and withdraw all of this here. It looks like it is 9.79 million. So very close to 10 million GP. It took just over 5 hours in order to do this. So let's go ahead and do a preliminary price check really quick. 19.2 million GP for about 5 hours worth of effort. That means we're getting pretty close to the 4 million GP per hour mark. I do want to sell all this on the GE just before giving you any definitive numbers though. So I did lose a little bit of money on the GE. The bones didn't quite sell for as much as I was expecting them to. All the common drops are only about 1 million worth of coins. And all the alchables that you get are the large majority of the GP there. So definitely a pretty good increase from the mining and smithing rework, since you get all of those adamant alchables. And on top of that, the green charms, not bad at all. 1.5 green charms per kill, half of a crimson charm per kill. So honestly, not a bad place for charms as well. To get 2 elite clue scrolls, and I already had a full bank worth of hard clue scrolls, so I'm not sure how many hard clue scrolls I would have gotten. But not a good place for clue scrolls, very good for charms, decent enough for money. Definitely should do it on Slayer task, and actually may want to look into the possibility of doing it as an AFK method of making some money, because I was making 3.5 million GP semi-AFK-esque. If you guys did enjoy this, go ahead and hit that like button down below so I can see your support. Also hit the subscribe channel so you can see all my future content, and leave a comment on what you want me to do next. As always though, have a good one.